because the report claims 4 companies are in the running for the license, and those companies are NCSoft, Netmarble, Nexon, and Krafton.
Why? Oh God. Not Nexon. Anything but Nexon. I'll be honest with you, anything but Nexon. No! This is Blizzard sells their game rights. Talks have already begun. I'm gonna watch this real quick. StarCraft is a game that I grew up on. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I still play it to this day. I follow the pro scene all the time.
So how would
I love Clem.
you like a new
Also, Dark is my favorite Zerg.
StarCraft game? How would you like 4 StarCraft games?
No, StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2.
We're going to talk about the rumored return of StarCraft, right? One of Blizzard's biggest franchises. And of course, it seems credible. We all remember how breathlessly excited Phil Spencer was about taking over the Activision Blizzard IPs. It seemed like they'd
And then he ran it into the
actually cook something. But so far, we've not really seen much in development. Like, there's been Game Pass ports, but not much else, not much solid. But now, a year and a half later, we're actually starting to see the first teases of what's going on with those franchises, especially StarCraft. And I wish I could tell you that I'm breathlessly excited.
I'm so excited,
but
dude.
I'm not. No.
Guys, I'm Master League and Legacy of the Void. I was top of Diamond in Wings of Liberty. I'm like almost maxed out in Co-op Commander. I love StarCraft 2.
Oh, the monkey's paw always curls. Before we hit the story that just broke, it's clear someone at Xbox remembered that StarCraft exists, right? Because earlier this year, we saw an entire StarCraft-themed expansion for Hearthstone, which was...
Wait, really? Wait, I need to reinstall Hearthstone. I love Hearthstone too. I was Legend in Wild and like normal ranked for like ever. Wait, what?
A little bit weird. Then, over the last few weeks, we've actually seen some neat things like this announcement.
Normally, Hearthstone just follows the progression of the World of Warcraft expansions. So it's really strange to see them branch off and do StarCraft like that. That's actually really out of character for Hearthstone. I wonder if he's actually right. That actually makes me suspicious. They have not done anything for StarCraft in a long time. They said that the game is basically on maintenance mode for like the last 2.5, 3 years now.
Announcement of a new official
I think the last new content they got was Minsk for Co-op Commander.
StarCraft game, which
They still have balance patches and they update the maps and stuff, but
is in fact a licensed miniatures game from Archon Studios. Gotta be real though.
Yo!
It's maybe not the RTS I would want, but StarCraft minis, hell yes.
Hell yeah, StarCraft minis. Hell yeah, StarCraft minis. I'm gonna buy those. I'm a D&D. I play Pathfinder all the time. I love minis. You guys should see my table. My table upstairs is insane. Actually, I think I have it on the camera right now. Hold on, let me show you. As you can see, it's got plugs on every single side of the table. It's huge. The top of the table lifts off, and then it's got lights. Hold on, I can turn on the lights right now. I can literally turn them on from down here. It's so sick. It is the ultimate D&D gaming table. Every single station flips down and has something that flips out, so you can have a little gaming station at it. Hey, bro. It's such a sick table. It's such a sick table, bro. You showed us in the house tour. I know, but for people that weren't there. Yeah, it's one of my proudest possessions. I love playing Pathfinder on that table.
That's pretty awesome. At least it's like a flickering ember of activity for a series that has effectively been dormant for years, where Blizzard basically said, hey, we've literally put it on life support. But here's where today's story gets interesting. StarCraft 2 almost certainly will stay on life support, but StarCraft as a games franchise, well, very much apparently not. Here's what's just happened.
We know some of our players have been looking forward to some of the things we're moving away from, but the good news is that this change will free us up to think about what's next, not just with regard to StarCraft 2, but for the StarCraft universe as a whole. So what this is teasing is not an RTS, but another genre of game. What do you guys think? I'm thinking Warhammer. You know, the Warhammer, the 40K game that came out or whatever earlier, like last year?
Games franchise, well, very much apparently.
A movie would be so good. Honestly, Blizzard's already really good at making those trailers. It's like the only thing they're good at nowadays.
Not. Here's what's just happened. Asia Today is exclusively reporting that 4 companies are bidding to get hold of the StarCraft license, and this is also that they can make new games as well as get global publishing rights for StarCraft. Now, it's not a sale of StarCraft as an IP. That would be extremely depressing, but what it is basically a license opportunity for Xbox and Blizzard, that somebody else can pay them for the license, agree to their terms for using that license, and then go and, well, make video games, with the company who has got the license being, of course, the people who accept all of the risks that are involved in making a new StarCraft game in 2025. Now, time for it to maybe get depressed.
That is so exciting for StarCraft fans. We have been so depressed for so many years.
Because the report claims 4 companies are in the running for the license, and those companies are NCSoft, Netmarble, Nexon, and Krafton.
Why? Oh God. Not Nexon. Anything but Nexon. I'll be honest with you, anything but Nexon. NCSoft is also okay, as long as NCSoft can be rough too. They make Throne of Liberty, which I really like, but the only reason Throne of Liberty is saved is because it's on Steam. Have you guys ever downloaded their application runner or whatever? It's called Purple. Like their client. It's like the Purple client or whatever the hell. It requires you must consent in order to play any of their games on their client. You must consent to let them collect and store and share all of your personal data that you have given them on your account and potentially on your computer. It's actually insane.
Mel is only alive cause of you, Blue.
Oh, thanks, buddy. But I wish that was true, but that's not true. It's alive because AGS and the NCSoft have done a solid job, or whoever's managing it. NCSoft's a big company. There's a lot of different subsets. Guild Wars 2, for example, is a phenomenal game run by pretty solid developers, right? Not all of NCSoft is bad, right? Throne of Liberty is also a solid game run by developers that listen to people. So that's good, right? But NCSoft is like a conglomerate. I put in a support ticket and I was like, yo, am I not allowed to play your game? Aren't you supposed to allow people to consent before playing their game? They're like, yeah, that's the consent. The other option is just not to play. Either give us your data or don't play. There's the option. Okay. I was like, what? That's crazy. So the only reason that Throne of Liberty got out of that is because it's available on Steam. So as long as they made a StarCraft IP that was available on Steam, I'd be okay with it. Netmarble, I don't know much about, and Craft and Clash, I don't know much about. Not Nexon. And the reason I say not Nexon is because they made MapleStory, and obviously they had that big debacle where they were literally, if you spent more money on MapleStory on the RNG boxes, your RNG chances of getting the thing you wanted were literally lowered because you were prone to spending more money. So they were manipulating your percent chance to get shit by how much money you spent. So if you spent less money, you'd have a higher chance, ironically, of getting the item because it would bait you into buying more. And they got charged like $10 million, some pathetic amount of money. They made hundreds of millions of dollars of it. I do not trust these people. NCSoft can produce a good product and manage a good product like Guild Wars 2, right? Or like Throne of Liberty. It's hit or miss with NCSoft though. Hit or miss. I don't know anything about Netmarble, and then Craft and Clash is, I don't know.
Now, of course, currently it's unclear whether these are the only companies who are pitching, or simply that they are the ones that this particular outlet was able to get information on.
Okay, big match over StarCraft IP, NC, Nexon, Netmarble, and Craft and Clash. Leading domestic game companies have entered into an unprecedented competition to win orders for StarCraft Blizzard IPs. These 4 major domestic game companies are in full-scale competition to develop new games based on the StarCraft IP and secure global publishing rights. StarCraft is considered a legendary game that has maintained a thick fan base worldwide since its release in 1998. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I'm a diehard StarCraft fan. Diehard. I can play all 3 races. I do co-op commander all the time. All I do in my free time is I watch Loco and his professional StarCraft 2 matches. I'm familiar with all of the creators. I love that game. I played it for so many years.
Suppose big picture, it says, hey, StarCraft Plus licensing appears to be a thing. Now, per Asia Today, though, these bids are actually far enough along that they're fairly real. The companies have apparently pitched Blizzard at Blizzard's own campus.
Oh, nice. It's been confirmed that some of these game companies have gone all the way to Blizzard's headquarters in California to make a presentation in order to secure a competitive edge. Blizzard is known to be looking for game companies with development capabilities, publishing capabilities, and global marketing capabilities in the process of selecting partners, and are closely examining each game company's proposal and operational plans during the contract process.
What's interesting is that all four companies also had aspects of their proposals leaked to Asia Today. So let's talk about our exciting new StarCraft games. NCSoft wants to make an RPG. Kind of makes sense. They do.
Yes, I'm in. Yes, I'm so in. Yes, let NCSoft win. Please let them win. NCSoft is a company with outstanding development capabilities and operational know-how in the MMORPG, massive multiplayer online role-playing game field, and it's known to be the closest in the field of the RPG development utilizing the StarCraft universe. Ooh, dude. I don't know if it'll be an MMO, but an RPG for sure.
Throne Liberty, they do Guild Wars. Maybe that could work. I'm suspicious. But then Netmarble wants to, make mobile games with, and I quote, deep gameplay. I love.
No, God, please, no.
Maybe that could work. I'm suspicious. But then Netmarble wants to, make mobile games with, and I.
Netmarble cannot win. They are the devil. I will not see my favorite game from my like growing up in my childhood, my early adult years in StarCraft 2 be destroyed by becoming some shit dog water mobile game. Please, God, no. StarCraft is considered to have expanded esports culture globally beyond its success in the strategy simulation genre. Yeah, RTS. Netmarble is leveraging its experience in the mobile game market to combine the StarCraft IP with a mobile platform. No. The strategy is to simultaneously target popularity and deep gameplay. You. No. Like, what are you going to make Clash of Clans for StarCraft?
Quote, deep gameplay. I love deep gameplay in a mobile game. I'm sure that's not monetized. Then Nexon claims.
I'm sure that's not monetized. Get the out of here. Nexon has entered the competition by proposing a unique way to utilize the StarCraft IP based on its experience in creating successful global titles in various genres. The scope of this contract reportedly includes the development of new games in various genres, as well as publishing rights in the global market. So we don't know. That's what that means. Nexon, let's be honest. We just have to assume that Nexon is going to be some pay-to-win trash shit mobile game.
That they've got a plan for a, quote, unique way to utilize the StarCraft IP, which, to be honest, sounds like a threat. And Krafton then say that they would leverage their existing development studio.
Ooh, Krafton said they've achieved global success with a battle royale game, Battleground. Hey, man, I'm a huge fan of Naraka Bladepoint, but I doubt it would be modeled after Naraka. Is known to have challenged this contract by planning to develop a new StarCraft based on its own development capabilities. Regarding this, a Krafton official said there has been no confirmation. So we're looking at Battle Royale against potential MMORPG, against mobile game, against Nexon garbage. Okay, I'm good with Krafton, and I am good with NCSoft. Those two, one of those two needs to win. Not the Devils.
To make something.
In your opinion, how was your most chill low APM tower spot class? Awakening Witch.
New, though whenever they were asked about this, they did deny. So,
Of course they're
notes.
denied.
First up, though, it's worth pointing out that all of those companies are South Korean. That's generically interesting. It's also interesting because,
Well, it's an insanely popular game in Korea. StarCraft, StarCraft Brood War, and StarCraft 2 are massively popular in Korea. Still are, have been for many years. That's why it's so competitive.
StarCraft plus Korea, it's kind of a thing.
Yep.
Second, though, these are all companies deep in the live service game mines.
Please don't make it a gacha game. Not like this. Not like this.
Right, their full monetization, all the lovely dark retention techniques that are designed to get people hooked in and paying. That's what these companies do. And then third, none of them have got a history of making strategy games like this. That being said, well, if they're big South Korean companies with lots of South Korean developers, they probably have
Craft and Screwed Terra too? Oh god, dude.
a few star.
But they could make something good, right? If they made it a battle royale, they're not making an MMO, so it doesn't matter. They made battle royales. They were going to make the battle royale. I think Crafton's Battlegrounds is a really good, like PUBG. That's a great game. That could hit. I'd be okay with that.
StarCraft players knocking about the place. I suppose the closest company with like competency
Player Unknown made PUBG? Or are they owned by Crafton?
would probably be Netmarble, but that again would be restricted to mobile strategy games, which
Oh my god, please don't make it a mobile strategy game, man.
you know, again, I don't think we really want. Maybe it would be better than the Electronic Arts Command and Conquer mobile game. Anyway,
No,
what this
it will
seemingly
be the
means,
same.
though, is it's not StarCraft 3, and it's far more that IP being, well, slung about the place.
I would love to see someone expand on Co-op Commander. I think Co-op Commander could use some updates, and tons of people love that game.
Of
man.
course, right now, there is no hard confirmation that these licenses will be granted, right? Whether they'll be exclusive licenses or even...
They're 100% going to grant a license to at least one of them. Blizzard is way too money hungry. I've been with that company for a long time, man. StarCraft 2, Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and everything. They're so greedy. There's no way they don't sell it.
Even that only one will be accepted, we can basically say from this that there are discussions that clearly something has changed, where they've maybe realized Blizzard Entertainment is not going to utilize StarCraft out.
It has been confirmed that some of these game companies have gone all the way to Blizzard's headquarters in California to make present. Oh, we've already seen this. Okay, we've already seen this.
Has changed, where they've maybe realized Blizzard Entertainment is not going to utilize StarCraft
Yep.
outside of the way that they are right
Please,
now.
somebody
which
pick it
we'll
up.
get to in a little bit. Therefore, they may as well make money off that brand by licensing it about the place, which does
I'm 100% going to go buy all of the Hearthstone StarCraft 2 cards right after I finish this stream. We're booting Hearthstone back up. Don't care.
make a lot of sense.
That is how diehard. I love StarCraft.
But can be kind of
I also
dangerous,
like Hearthstone, too.
especially if you give it to a bunch of companies who don't exactly have the best reputation when it comes to player experience. So I'll definitely say
Again, of the four, NCSoft and then Crafton. But particularly, I'd love to see NC pick it up. An RPG, even if it's not an MMO, would be sick, bro.
don't get hyped, don't pre-order anything, and don't expect StarCraft 3 from them, but also
No.
don't expect it from Blizzard. But Blizzard are making a StarCraft game right now. I'll open with a quote
Wait,
from
what?
Jason Schreier. He said this when he was doing the press tour
Wait.
for his book, which is called Play Nice. The quote is, yes, they are working on a StarCraft shooter. Those are the facts. I've been able to...
Wait, really?
The quote is, yes,
Hayes' StarCraft shooter is mentioned in the book, and IGN's Ryan McCaffrey asked Schreier if it's likely to actually come out. He said, yes, that is a project that, as far as I know, is in development, or at least as of the time that I wrote this book, was in development. They are working on a StarCraft shooter. StarCraft is not dead at Blizzard. November 15th, 2024. That's actually f***ing crazy, bro. That's insane.
They are working on a StarCraft shooter. Those are the facts. I've been able to independently verify that. I've talked to people who are sort of floating around that space, shall we say. Yes, it is true. They are making a StarCraft shooter. They've actually tried to do that multiple times. So it's a shooter. It's going to be led by Dan Hay, who is a producer on Far Cry. He moved over to Blizzard, and it represents the third time they've tried to make a StarCraft shooter project happen. Of course, the one before this was...
Yeah, I'm not convinced the StarCraft shooter is going to happen.
Basically a Battlefield-like project, and you know, I love rubbing salt in the wound. Maybe pour in some vinegar as well. So just to make things sting even harder, that StarCraft Battlefield game, from what I heard, was goddamn sick. It was really cool. But do you know why they cancelled it? Because they needed Overwatch 2 and they needed Diablo 4.
I hate Overwatch, dude. That franchise, man. Diablo 4, Overwatch, no one cares. Both of those games suck. The only reason people even pay attention to Overwatch is because the corn is so good. Ironically enough, the people that make porn for that game work harder than the developers do. Why did we bother making an Overwatch 2?
Big happy smiles. I'm very pleased. Anyway, we've even seen job listings at Blizzard for a open world shooter project. That was in November 2024. I think that does sort of line up with this. Now to be...
Wait, what? Associate Design Director, Innovation. As the Design Director of Innovation, you will be the vision holder and the owner of key strategic innovations on the upcoming open world shooter game. Open world shooter. You can stay current with the latest developments in both an indie and AAA space. This role is anticipated to be the hybrid work position. This work studio for the position of Irvine, California. Interesting.
That was in November 2024. I think that does sort of line up with this. Now, to be clear, I'm fairly sure this game is still in a fairly early stage. It is true that they have got like tech and design work done from the prior like Battlefield style StarCraft shooter. I don't know if much of that will be able to transfer over. What I do know though is that Far Cry producer was part of a kind of like top echelon within the unannounced survival game. Obviously, that game, it was announced as an unannounced game, and then it was cancelled, and I suppose unannounced. Now, there were humongous job cuts on that team. What I do understand is that some of the top echelon of that team then moved over to do this new StarCraft project, which well...
Okay, please tell me it doesn't look like that. Although, I'll be honest with you, I'm a sucker for Nova. If it looked like that, I'd still play it. I'm shameless.
Can't imagine feels particularly great to a lot of ex-Blizzard employees. Anyway, putting all of this together, we could totally see multiple...
I hope it looks like Warhammer. I'll be honest with you, yeah, Space Marine. Space Marine was an incredible game. They make something like Space Marine, play the shit out of it.
StarCraft projects in development in time for the
That's
30th
Nova.
anniversary of StarCraft, which would be in 2028. But I would say that absolutely nobody appears to be making a strategy game, let alone a sequel.
Doesn't need to be a strategy
Blizzard
game.
Entertainment. And here's the thing that really does hurt.
Yeah, that was the GameCube game.
And
Yeah.
it hurts me especially. I love RTS. It's not hard to imagine why they wouldn't. The strategy game audience is harsh on sequels. And some of that's because games like StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 have shown us exactly what we like. That makes it hard to do a follow-up. As an example, Relic nearly clapped.
Okay, so the reasons the RTS genre is dead is because most RTSs, like real-time strategy games, guys, are by nature complex games, which makes them very difficult for a viewer to come in and start watching and be able to understand what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And they're also extremely difficult, like skill curve games to like pick up and learn for the first time. You compare this to something like League of Legends. You have like 4 abilities. You're controlling 1 unit, 4 abilities and a passive, right? Like the skill learning curve for that is way, way further. And as a viewer, you could look at a League of Legends match and like, although you don't really know what's going on, you can vaguely start to get into it. You know what I mean? RTSs are difficult unless you actually play the game, in which case you're invested in it. StarCraft 2 is still successful because millions of people played it. And so again, people understand it when they watch it. Even if you haven't played StarCraft in 10 years, you still know what's going on when you watch a professional match. Kids these days don't have the attention span to play strategy games. Okay. Everybody always talks about like these professional gamers nowadays that are like, oh my God, they're so good at the game. You. Innovation. Like, Here, honestly, Hero Marine nowadays is great. Clem is amazing. Cyril's amazing, right? But if you look, a Startail Bomber was incredible back in the day. Back in the day, honestly, bro, I'm telling you, RTS professional gamers are the best, most skilled. Raynor, oh god, he's such a good Zerg. Like, are the literal best, like, professional video game players in the world. They're the most talented by far. I mean, again, to me, it shows the most talent because the skill ceiling on a game like StarCraft 2 is just infinite. That's why I love watching it. It's incredible to see people adapt in like real time and like adapt to what's happening and like do all these crazy things. The APM is like 550, like through the roof. You know what I mean? These other people, they control one people, they snipe somebody from like a pixel on their screen from like a million miles away. They think they're a god. It's obnoxious.
After Dawn of War 3 and Company of Heroes.
They could make Helldivers 2 for StarCraft. I would play the crap out of that.
3. Hell, Dawn of War 2 put off so many people who liked Dawn.
Hands down, pro gamers these days are so much better. Back in the day, there was much less competition. Well, I mean, that's definitely true, right? But when you look at like the RTS genre and you compare someone like Cyril, right, who is widely considered the best StarCraft 2 player to ever play the game, and you compare that to somebody like Faker, in my opinion, Faker, although he's extremely talented and obviously is the most successful like video game player that has ever existed, right, in terms of overall dollar amount, I do think that Cyril is more talented in his ability to like adapt, control many units, like come up with a strategy and execute that strategy. Obviously, Faker plays a team game though, which also makes it extremely impressive, but in other ways. But in terms of like solo gameplay, like this person hard carries, you know what I mean? Like RTS gamers are just a step above.
Dawn of War 1, and just take a look at Blackbird Interactive with Homeworld 3. Yeah, getting the follow-up right, given all the constraints of budgets.
Yeah, Faker's insane macro. It manages his players. He's insane. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. Completely agree. The dude is literally insane.
Timelines,
he's the unkillable Demon King for a reason.
Being dickheads that seem to hurt the strategy genre. In the
RTS is all on you, and this is part of the reason that a lot of like little kids these days, you say that, oh, they don't have the attention span. Really, it's they don't have like the mental brain power. They legitimately cannot handle losing in a video game where it's 100% their fault. If you lose in an RTS, it is your fault. It is no one's fault but yourself. And if you lose in League of Legends, these pussy cowards will constantly blame their team all the time, all day long. As long as they have someone else to blame and it's not their fault, they're fine. Yeah, Jungle Diff. Yeah, for sure. Top Gap. Yeah, I know. Top's been pushing like contractions or 3 minutes apart with no words. Basically Stevie Wonder pushing up there. But yeah, no big deal. Yeah, just blame the jungler. It's fine. I'm not even mad.
Sphere, then, there are spiritual successors, but they get a lot of flack. Maybe they're too similar to StarCraft. Maybe they're not different enough. Looking at Stormgate, there have been, consistently mixed reactions since launch. A lot of people, I would say, think that game came out too early into early access. They do really appear to be trying to get that right, but it's tough. Okay. Star 2 would always be a tough act to follow. So, with all that in mind, think about what happens when you try to make a sequel to StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
It can't be an RTS. You'll never be successful with it. I'm telling you, bro, you cannot make StarCraft 3. That's not a thing. But again, a different genre game in the StarCraft universe. I don't know if you guys have ever played the StarCraft. One thing Blizzard is very good at is trailers, right? And lore. Right? It's part of the reason World of Warcraft was such a gripping game and why people kept coming back every expansion, right? It's like they just gripped by that trailer. Like they're so good at making trailers. They're very good at making lore for their game. At least they used to be. I was going to say, at least they used to be. Lately, it's been not so great. But like when it came to StarCraft 2, oh my, absolute cinema. Every single cutscene just had you so invested in what was going on. And I remember the World of Warcraft cinematics were very similar back in the day. I mean, shit, Diablo also. The Diablo cinematics are truly, they could be their own movie if you string them together. It's so good, right? They do a great job of baiting you to play that terrible game.
It's going to be hard. And even if you're Blizzard Entertainment, it's almost guaranteed to be a development without any of the talent involved in those original games. And those are games that require not only amazing design chops, amazing...
Like it doesn't need to be an RTS is what you're misunderstanding. It does not need to be an RTS. And it shouldn't be. You should take what's good about StarCraft 2, step away from the RTS genre, look at the lore, look at the background. There's a tremendous amount that you could do with the universe of StarCraft 2. I mean, shit, you could just take Minsk and like the Terran Empire as like a as like one unit and make Helldivers out of it. You know what I mean? And you're fighting the Zerg. It would be that simple. Like you could take all that propaganda and stuff. It'd be sick. Absolute cinema. You know, like you take what's good about the game and make it into a different genre. I think it's a good idea.
Maths chops to actually balance.
Yeah, I get it. Space Marine port of StarCraft would go hard. Believe it or not, back in the day, guys, Blizzard went to Warhammer, like the company that makes Warhammer, and they said they wanted to base their StarCraft universe off of Warhammer. It was originally supposed to be based on Warhammer. They turned them down. They said no. They said no. We're not going to let you. They said, okay. So if you compare StarCraft to Warhammer, they're very close in terms of like their lore and their background and stuff. I would say StarCraft's a little bit easier to follow versus Warhammer. It's just way more fleshed out in terms of how much fan fiction and stuff has been written about it and what they've done with the universe and stuff. But like, again, Protoss, Zerg, and Terran are they have their comparable races over on the Warhammer side of things. You know, the Tyranids are Zerg. You know what I'm saying? Like,
them, but just some of that vibes, some of that understanding, like intuition for the player that is so
one of the biggest mistakes that I think they've ever made
to get right in strategy games. And when you look at today's Blizzard Entertainment, you basically see StarCraft as an RTS is not worth them developing in their own opinion, yet they clearly understand StarCraft does have cut through, does have brand recognition, therefore then
it absolutely does. Been playing Warhammer since 99. Yeah, I started playing Warhammer recently as like the tabletop version because my buddy's like super into it and started making a bunch of the stuff, and so he comes over and we play it together from time to time. It's actually really fun. I play as the Tyranids because he plays as the what essentially amounts to the Terrans.
I'm doing some sort of big AAA shooter makes a lot of
that's
sense.
Nova, baby.
While then also licensing
Co-op
it out
Commander.
so they can start to exploit the hell out of that IP. One of the big things of the Microsoft acquisition was the acquisition of IP. A lot of that IP was kind of hoarded within Blizzard, and one of the reasons was they'd had trouble when it came to external developments. Even the stuff with Blizzard North and Diablo was kind of tricky and fractured. There's obviously StarCraft Ghost. That was external development stuff that really didn't go that well. So ultimately, Blizzard Entertainment for years and years did not want to license out its IP. So many people with development teams and money would look at that Blizzard IP and think, I smell an opportunity. Now that Microsoft owns Blizzard and therefore has the final say in that IP, well, there's opportunity. And purely in the business sense, it does make sense to find licensees. Blizzard does not have the capacity to make enough games to exploit all of their IP that is right now just sitting there unused. But that doesn't mean that
Blizzard, okay, a lot of people give Blizzard a crazy amount of flack, and for good reason. Blizzard is absolutely atrocious at managing games. They used to be incredibly good at creating games. StarCraft, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, Diablo, like the Diablo 2, you know what I mean? Like peak cinema. But in terms of managing those games, worst company I've ever seen in terms of managing their games and their communities. Terrible approach to basically everything. I am happy that they're selling away like these rights and stuff, hopefully to a company that actually manages their community better.
it can't be used, it can be used via other companies. The bad version of this would be shitty mobile games. StarCraft.
What was the last good Blizzard game? WoW in 2008? Now, Overwatch was a phenomenal game and has seen a lot of success, especially on Pornhub.
Turning into that absolutely ungodly disaster that was the Command & Conquer mobile game. But there is a company who's actually done big-scale licensing right. And that's Games Workshop with Warhammer. So maybe there is a world where, yes, we get StarCraft duds, but perhaps we also get the odd Space Marine. I would certainly not be against that, and it's not lost on me that StarCraft was, let's just say, somewhat inspired by Warhammer. But it's not just StarCraft.
Yeah.
So in 2020, Activision refused to greenlight a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake from Vicarious Visions. Well, that was pretty sad, and the reason why is that those devs were more valuable to the company as Blizzard Albany, because, well, they showed that they could be useful in Diablo porting and on Call of Duty work, so they got thrown into those mines. But now, under Xbox, that Pro Skater remake is actually coming out. just it's coming out a bit differently. It's from the remaster and porting team at Iron Galaxy, and it's being done as a third-party licensee. So they're actually beginning to use that IP. At PlayStation, Freedom Wars, Patapon, and Everybody Golf have all been remastered in the last few years. Sony still owns the trademarks in 2025, but they're not publishing those games. Instead, in every trailer you can see that they license them to Bandai Namco. And Bandai Namco
Hey man, that's the play, man. You gonna do TNL drops? Yeah, I'm gonna do them tomorrow though.
are the people who got those things going. The point basically is that that company has then worked with the relevant devs to polish and port those things to PC, Switch, as well as PlayStation. And I have to assume that part of their licensing deal there was that things don't get to be on Xbox. I've got to imagine then that that's what Activision Blizzard will be doing here. And it ties into the trends we've been covering on this channel over the last while with outsourcing. Just in this case, it's on a wider corporate
Reducing
scale. So they're
risk.
not asking, say, a random developer in the Philippines to churn out cosmetics under terrible conditions. It's just that these companies have simply got too much intellectual property and not enough developers. So you license the IP out and
That's because they suck now.
there you go.
They
You'll
had
be
good
able to
games,
get some
but-
returns, and guess what? The risk to you is low. They are the people who pay for that license, and if the game ends up being shit, well, you can say it's kind of their fault.
Yep.
Because as much as with Warhammer,
That's the
we
play,
think about
man.
Space Marine, well, there's also the endless torrents of shovelware shite that came out under the Warhammer license. Just
True.
like Games Workshop were happy enough for so much Warhammer to occur that there would inevitably be good stuff that floats to the top, to the point where now Warhammer is almost a prestige brand within gaming. The question then is, will that happen to StarCraft? I guess I'll throw it to you. What sorts of StarCraft licensed games would you actually enjoy? I can think of
Literally anything, but really an MMORPG would be insane. But let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen. Let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, I'm actually curious what the hell is going to go on with the StarCraft IP. Let me look at it real quick. Hold on. Because that was a 2-week-old video. Let's see if anything's happened since then. Has anyone acquired the StarCraft IP? Not Nexon. Not Nexon. No! God damn it! Son of a bitch! I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm not spitting it. Me, dude. Man, all that hype. I'm pissed. God damn it. Fuck, they're gonna turn it into some loser Maple Story bullshit.